You know the saying that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree? Very true with Angel Reese's mom. Now, I don't like to go after people's parents unless they become a story of the sport. In this case, she's part of the story.
After Caitlin Clark broke TV ratings like a backboard on her own, Angel Reese's mother just lost it, and not because of a foul call. It was anything but a cordial handshake line. Is this sportsmanship or just pettiness dressed in sparkly resentment? Mama Ree went full court on social media. Hold on tight, because now that your daughter's competitor is a ratings queen, let's dissect this courtside drama like never before.
Well, my goodness. This news will probably leave Angel Reese's mom in shambles at this point. Of course, she's upset.
Angel. Even though TV ratings showed Caitlin Clark dominating the Nielsen charts like she was getting even for every time her name was misspelled on a Starbucks cup, Reese's mother was not having it. And by that we mean she went to Olympic-level mental gymnastics to try to explain how her daughter was obviously the ratings darling of the universe. Angel Reese's mother allegedly asked to talk with whoever was in charge of broadcast sports and possibly the galaxy itself, while brandishing a tote bag that read, "My daughter is better than yours," and wearing a crown made of LSU merchandise.
So, Caitlin Clark, had almost 15,000 people in the arena. Basically sold out at Carver. She tweeted this. Oh, that certain fan base looking in the thing celebrating attendance, while others are looking up in the rafters celebrating championships. Banners. We ain't the same. Different year, same haters. Have a great day. Well, aren't you the same hater as Caitlin Clark, living off her coattails? I find this highly unnecessary. Uh, Sounds like hateration to me. And this is what I mean by insecurity. Insecurity is loud, confidence is quiet.
Because it is obvious that the only reason Reese's preseason game didn't get much attention was because of a complex, multi-layered conspiracy by the Illuminati against Baton Rouge royalty. Meanwhile, America simply didn't pay attention. They all blinked, shrugged, and exclaimed, "Wait, LSU's playing who again?" Reese's mother stormed social media as though she was leading a revolution, only to find out that the village had already left to watch Clark drop threes from distances NASA should be measuring because, let's face it, it was like comparing a firecracker to a Super Bowl firework finale. I immediately returned to watching Caitlin Clark make defenders reevaluate their life choices in real time.
She made a couple of comments a couple of days ago about people literally covering statistical data involving attendance. That's a problem. That's hate. We aren't the same. Okay, I don't know what to tell you.
There is delusion, and then there is how dare you not worship my daughter after she airballed her fourth jumper in a row energy. Guess which one we're dealing with here? If we're giving out participation trophies for hype, Angel Reese would have needed a second trophy case, just for the preseason alone. ESPN could have shown her warm-up stretches on a Jumbotron in Times Square, and her mother would still have said Caitlin Clark had somehow sabotaged the lighting.
Did Caitlin Clark say something about Angel Reese's mom or anything Angel Reese related? Absolutely not. Why don't you just mind your own business and continue playing basketball and support your daughter? Right? That's what you're supposed to do as a mother. Support your daughter and hope she does well in this league, right? Because you don't hear Caitlin Clark going after her, going, why is she at the Met Gala? You know? It was really unnecessary and very petty of her, especially a grown-ass woman. But now I realize why Angel Reese the way she is. Because her mom.
And let's go back to the preseason game in question. It was such a lackluster event that even the popcorn vendors were dozing off in between quarters. The only people in attendance were players, their families, a few devoted friends, and one very perplexed guy who thought he had stumbled into a G League. The energy was so low that you could have balanced a water bottle on the court and started a viral TikTok challenge. But don't tell that to Angel Reese's mother. This wasn't just a game. It was the Super Bowl, the Oscars, and the Beyoncé Renaissance tour combined, and how dare America not treat it as such?
This was a preseason WNBA game. Do you understand what I mean? A preseason WNBA game. By the way, why the hell is the Paige Beckers and Angel Reese ratings from Ion Network Friday, why are they MIA rating?
There is no such thing as disappointing ratings, only misinterpreted greatness. So when the figures came in, it looked like a replay of Antique Roadshow, which attracted more people. It's a beautiful environment where everyone applauds when you mess up, and every missed layup is somehow part of the design. Putting on her metaphorical cape, Reese's mother dived headfirst into damage control PR, which we define as Instagram tales. Cryptic tweets and passive-aggressive remarks such as, if you ignore the fact that Caitlin Clark just set every broadcast on fire like she's auditioning for Game of Thrones, it's adorable that real queens don't need ratings to prove their worth. Angel Reese was busy redefining mid, but don't worry, her mother had theories. She is practicing magic instead of playing basketball, and the only items lacking are a wand and a sorting hat. Oh my goodness, she had theories. Clark is incredibly talented and occasionally defies physics, so it wasn't that people were watching her. Rather, it was obviously a setup, possibly because the cameras were hazy during Reese's game.
This pettiness, this insecurity, this bravado, this inflated ego stems from the mom, man. It was so unnecessary gig. Like, okay, you're still living off of college. The national title is literally 2 years ago, LSU. You're going on year 3 in a couple of months. Why are you still living off that? How about you tell your daughter to work on a jump shot, stop missing layups? She missed a layup in the last preseason game on a fast break.
Perhaps a secret system operating around the clock in the back end of some streaming platform was suppressing the feed since Mercury was in retrograde. Venus was ghosting Mars. And LSU's uniforms weren't in tune with the chakra frequencies needed to unlock national viewership. Perhaps the moon was acting in a passive-aggressive manner and chose to interfere with the Wi-Fi signal. It is obvious that something cosmically evil must be at work because it is impossible for someone to have a full-blown Stage 5 meltdown over preseason numbers, not the championship, not the playoffs preseason. That would be like going crazy because your garage band's first basement concert didn't outperform Taylor Swift's stadium tour, or expecting your nephew's lemonade stand to outperform Starbucks because he used organic lemons, less your sweet delusional heart.
But if you guys did not see, right here, the Fever Brazil game came to 1.3 million viewers. 1.3 million viewers to an exhibition game, not even a preseason game. An exhibition game. An exhibition game. An exhibition game. They came to an exhibition game. Or say they came to watch an exhibition game. That was a 60-point game, and Caitlin Clark checked out at the end of the third quarter. And it averaged 1.3 million viewers, which is absolutely crazy.
Here's the kicker, though. Clark didn't just win the ratings war quietly. Instead, she set fire to the battlefield, placed a microphone on the smoldering ruins, painted her initials in the ashes like a medieval warlord brandishing a Sharpie, and then casually turned the entire scene into a TikTok highlight reel. The story wasn't close or even competitive. It was Clark's show, and everyone else was just uncooperative extras attempting to figure out why their camera time was cut. You'll need more than astrology and conspiracy theories for that. There's something particularly funny about watching someone cling to a narrative while the scoreboard displays a completely different reality. Angel faster than a fast break, Reese's mother went from "this is just the beginning" to "this is a bias system" that was planned by Clark's PR team, ESPN, and possibly aliens. It wasn't denial. Rather, it was an art form.
Did Caitlin Clark say something about Angel Reese's mom or anything Angel Reese related? Absolutely not. Why don't you just mind your own business and continue playing basketball and support your daughter, right? That's what you're supposed to do as a mother. Support your daughter and hope she does well in this league, right? Because you don't hear Caitlin Clark going after her, going, why is she at the Met Gala? You know, it was really unnecessary and very petty of her, especially a grown ass woman. But now I realize why Angel Reese the way she is, because it's her mom. This pettiness, this insecurity, this bravado, this inflated ego. It stems from the mom, man.
However, even as the ratings came in like receipts from a shopping spree, she maintained her faith. In fact, she doubled down. If you listen carefully, you can almost hear her internal monologue. Who cares if no one watched those who did witness history, High Queenie? Unfortunately, the rest of us were too busy watching Clark emerge from the logo as if she had a vendetta against the Nets, while in the Reese camp, the buzz was muted, with a candle and a mason jar muted. LSU's preseason was a masterclass in how to generate all the hype in the world and then completely destroy the actual performance. And look, we get it. While Reese's preseason was supposed to be a 4th of July fireworks show, Clark made it feel like a mandatory office fire drill. Of course, Reese is a solid player, but when the marketing machine behind her treats every dribble like a coronation and every glance like a TED Talk on empowerment, people start to ask questions when the scoreboard looks like it belongs in a student rec league.
Caitlin Clark is really back, and so is that CC motion. Look, I know, I've said before, I don't want to talk about repeats, and this topic isn't really brand new, but it feels fresh in a sense, because we finally saw Caitlin Clark back out on the bat.
The audience is not cheering her on. Rather, they are just not anticipating another news release about her altering the game while it appears to be remarkably unaltered, followed by the inevitable comparison. Clark verse. Indeed, it's essentially a cottage industry these days, but the divide is more of an echoing abyss than a rivalry. Angel, Caitlin Clark, is literally changing broadcast schedules, making headlines, and selling out arenas. Because of her mother's online rage, Reese is trending on Twitter. Let's consider the bigger picture. The preseason game for Caitlin Clark felt like the premiere of an Avengers film. The preseason game for Reese resembled a local garage sale. The other featured folding seats, forgotten food, and an overall feeling of so that's it. One had electricity on an anticipatory scale. Even still, Reese's mother wasn't going to die quietly. If you checked your phone that day, you probably saw a strangely menacing inspirational quote. Something like, "Stars don't shine for approval, they just shine," posted over a grainy picture of Angel striking a power pose. If you disregard the fact that people were pointing their remote controls at another station, it's a lovely sentiment.
Indiana Fever just won what I thought was a pretty easy game against the Atlanta Dream, but I want to focus on Caitlin Clark because I think she's gotten 10 times better over the offseason. The number one thing I like about Caitlin Clark in these first 2 preseason games is that she's been very efficient. In the first game, she was 6 for 10, second game, 5 for 11. She could have got some more shots up, but the shots she did get up, she made the majority of them.
Let's discuss those TV numbers once again. Clark's ratings steamrolled Reese's rather than simply surpassing them. The ceiling wasn't broken by Clark. Instead, she tore it off and gave it to Angel Reese along with a small note that read, "Maybe next time." The irony of it all is that Reese doesn't seem to need a hype machine. She plays, people watch, she drains impossible shots, people post them, and she doesn't need cryptic tweets from her aunt's cousin's dog trainer to justify her place in the game. At this point, though, you almost have to admire the dedication, not to basketball, but to spin a flopped preseason broadcast and somehow craft a full-blown persecution narrative out of it that takes creativity and imagination. Which takes a mother who should probably host a conspiracy podcast called "Why My Daughter Is Better Than Yours and You're Just Envious."
Oh, Caitlin Clark literally just playing basketball. I love Caitlin Clark so much. The only reason is because she's literally being herself and pissing the world off. She isn't doing anything wrong. She's not saying controversial things. She's not out there shaking her booty on IG. She's not trying to get all attention or anything off of non-basketball things. It's strictly that.
Let's discuss those TV numbers once again. Clark's ratings steamrolled Reese's rather than simply surpassing them. The ceiling wasn't broken by Clark. Instead, she tore it off and gave it to Angel Reese along with a small note that read, "Maybe next time." The irony of it all is that Reese doesn't seem to need a hype machine. She plays, People watch. She drains impossible shots. People post them. And she doesn't need cryptic tweets from her aunt's cousin's dog trainer to justify her place in the game. At this point, though, you almost have to admire the dedication, not to basketball, but to spin a flopped preseason